The Wicked King, Part 2, complete. The boy was not supposed to live. When the hunters found him by the riverbank, his skin was pale and stretched tight across his bones. His lips were cracked, his eyes half shut, his chest rising and falling like a dying fire. They thought he was already gone until one of them saw his fingers twitch. Bring him, their leader said. No child should be left to die alone. They carried him on their backs through the forest, moving in silence. The boy drifted in and out of dreams, hearing voices as though from underwater. He smelled smoke, earth, and something else, something sharp and iron-like that made his throat burn. By the time they reached the hunter's village, he no longer knew if he was alive or wandering in the spirit world. The villagers gathered to see him. Women with baskets on their heads, children with bare feet caked in dust, old men leaning on walking sticks. They all stood in a circle whispering, "Whose child is this? From which family? Look at his eyes. He has seen something." The hunters laid him on a mat in the healer's hut. The healer, an old woman with hands rough from years of pounding herbs, bent over him. She pressed his chest, checked his breath, and frowned. "This boy carries shadows with him," she said, "but we will try." For many days, the boy hovered between this world and the next. They fed him broth made from leaves and bones. They rubbed oil on his skin. They sang low chants to call his spirit back. Slowly, his eyes opened. He spoke no words at first, only coughed and trembled. When he was strong enough, the hunters asked him where he had come from. He did not answer. He remembered the king's voice, cold and sharp. "If you dream of living, you will never wake again." The memory stuck in his throat like a thorn. He only shook his head. The villagers took this silence as a sign. Some thought he had lost his mind. Others said he had seen something so terrible that his tongue refused to speak it. Still, they gave him a place. The women gave him food when they could spare it, pieces of yam, roasted fish, sometimes a handful of maize. The men taught him small tasks, carrying water, gathering firewood, tending goats. The children played around him, though never too close. They laughed and shouted, but when he came near, they quieted, as if remembering something their parents had whispered. At night, when the fires burned low, the boy would lie awake listening. He could hear the forest beyond the huts, the crack of branches, the hiss of insects, the call of night birds. But he could also hear something else, something that seemed to follow him even here. The soft pad of bare feet, slow and patient, moving in circles around the hut. He told himself it was only in his mind. The king was far away. He had escaped. He repeated those words like a prayer until sleep finally pulled him under. But the mornings reminded him of what he had lost. In this village, people lived close together, families bound by blood and story. They knew one another's names, the names of their fathers and mothers, the lands their ancestors once farmed. The boy had no name here. When they spoke to him, they called him child or stranger, or sometimes nothing at all. One day, an old man asked him directly, "Whose son are you? From what clan do you come?" The boy lowered his eyes. He thought of his father's face. The night the guards came, the sound of his mother's crying as they dragged him away. He opened his mouth to answer, but no words came. The old man studied him for a long time, then sighed. "A child without a name is a tree without roots. Be careful, you may be blown away by the first wind." The boy wanted to tell him everything, but the words felt dangerous. If he spoke the king's name, would it bring him here? If he told them what he had seen inside the palace, the blood, the missing children, the smile in the dark, would they even believe him? So he stayed silent. Life in the hunter's village went on. At dawn, men disappeared into the forest with bows and spears, returning at dusk with antelope, monkeys, or nothing at all. Women pounded yam, pressed palm oil, and told stories while their children played nearby. At night, the elders sat by the fire and spoke of ancestors, battles, and spirits. The boy listened, learning their ways, but always he felt apart, a stranger, a shadow at the edge of the fire. Sometimes he would walk to the river where the hunters had first found him. He would stare into the water, watching his reflection ripple. His face was thinner, his eyes darker, but it was still his face. He would whisper to it as if the water could carry his voice back home. Father, mother, are you still alive? The water never answered. But one evening, as the sun sank and the river glowed red, he thought he saw another face in the water, not his own. The teeth were too sharp, the eyes too wide, the smile too cruel. He stumbled back, his breath caught in his throat. When he looked again, it was gone. Only the river flowed, silent and endless. That night, he dreamed of the palace again. He smelled blood, iron, and smoke. He heard footsteps coming toward him. He felt breath on his face. Then the king's voice whispered, "You are mine." He woke with a cry, his body drenched in sweat. The other children stirred in their mats, muttering, but no one asked what troubled him. The boy lay awake until dawn, staring at the ceiling of the hut, knowing deep inside what he did not dare say aloud. He had not escaped at all. The king was coming,